Page 6, Angels We Have Heard on High. I have a set process I go through when I learn a new piece of music, and that's the process I use in these videos. You have your own process, everybody has their own system, but I'm using my process. Because unless it's music I sight read, where I try and do everything all at once, then I like to just take it a little bit at a time, and I sort of build it up. There's some repeat signs on the first line, but that's about it. Treble and bass clef to begin with, because it's not always going to be those clef signs. I always check the clef signs. 4/4 time signature. There's no sharps or flats in the key signature. We're in the key is C major. So I got to make sure I can do the scale on C major. And when I do the scales, I go ahead and do the minor scale with the same key signature. So here I would do the C major scale and the A minor scale, because A minor has no sharps or flats in it also. I have videos on these. You can see the links in the description and all. Okay. I like to take this one hand at a time first to make sure I understand what each hand is doing, and then I go put the hands together, because usually when I go put the hands together it's a whole new adventure, but we'll see. I'm going to start with the right hand only. First measure, they want G here, or fourth finger on the G puts me here, and it's just that. Then the left hand plays that, and then in the second measure, same thing, and then the whole note. And now I just lift up and come down. Here, for measure 4. Those numbers at the beginning of the lines and little boxes, those are measure numbers here. Measure 5, the rhythm. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay. Let's go over to measure, 11? You're here. Now measure 12, they want fourth finger, so I'm just going to reach, the thumb staying here, I'm just going to reach up here and play it. Now once I play it, I can relax, so I just changed hand positions. 1 and 2 and. 1 and 2 and. Which comes up his third finger. I changed hand positions again. And then the left hand does those. I'll measure 17. You're here, thumb comes down and does that. Connect that, and then reach up just a little bit, 4, and again, I'm going to do that again. Left hand, well, at the beginning, the left hand is here, and then in the second line, now the left hand's down here. Now, measure 4, the little finger's going to do these bottom notes. But when I go to measure 5 into measure 6, I'm going from here to here. I'd like to prepare that. So instead of using thumb in measure 5 here, I'm going to use second finger. That frees my thumb up to come up. So it's here and then here. 2, 5 on that in measure 5. And then just reach up, thumb. And then going on, just reach down a little more, 2. This way your little finger's ready again, like you were. This way I can feel my way around the keyboard a little better. You do that again at the end of the page, on page 6. The last chord is 5, 2. That way when you go to measure 10, you just reach up. And now I measure 11, 3 is fine here, because we're not going down, we're coming up. You gotta reach up to the E. That's an E. It's just an octave. And then crunch up. On measure 13, they don't need the natural sign. It's a natural anyway, but they're being clear because you just had a C sharp. But that sharp in measure, 12 is only good for that measure. So this is natural. That's fine. We can do that. Now on measure 15, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. The problem is I'm out of position for measure 16. Measure 16, I want to be down here. So I want to prepare that a little better. Well, I got repeated notes on measure 15, and repeated notes is, you can change hand positions on repeated notes. I do it a lot. So on measure 15, it's here, and then I'm just going to go here, 4, 1. I put thumb on that. This way I'm in position to go on measure 16. Crossover. Now here, you can stay here. I prefer fourth finger in measure 17, the whole note. Because in measure 18, I'm going to come up here, and I can reach it better with fourth finger. So again, I'll measure, well, let's go back to measure 15. I'm here, and then 4-1. Now I'm here, crossover, and 4. Now I'm ready to go up. And we do this, what we did before. Now at the bottom, last two measures, you're here. That's fine. That's fine if you want to do that, no problem. Put the hands together. Well, here, sort of. And this needs to sound like one hand played it all. So try and even this out. Then at the end of the line, you're here. Left hand isn't playing anything. So while you're waiting, go ahead and get the left hand down here where it needs to go. Because you got to move the right hand. You don't have any time. So get the left hand here ready to go. That way, see, when I move the hands around, I like to just move one hand at a time if I can, and that's what I'm doing. You know, I'm up here, but then I get down here and I'm ready to go. And when I first put the hands together, I'm liable to hesitate all over. I don't care. That's fine. I just want to know these you go, and then these you go. I want to make sure I got the right fingers going, and then I go here. And then here. And then here again. So I go through the whole thing and I work out the hands together. And then I go back through it a few 100 times or whatever, and slowly work out the hesitations so it's a steady beat throughout. And once I have that, then I add the articulation. See, I don't put everything in it immediately. As I said, I build these things up. So first I got the fingering and the rhythm and the notes all down. Now I'll add because when I first do this, I connect everything if I can. And that forces me to find a fingering that allows me to connect it with the hands. That usually, most of the time, that leads to a much better fingering and a more solid fingering for a piece if you can find a way to play it connected. However, now we add the articulation. At the beginning, you have an accent on the first note. In piano, an accent, you just play a little louder. At the end of the line, you see the SFZ, this sforzando, or sforzato, whatever. That's a major accent. Boom. Let the wrist collapse a little bit when you do. Don't hit it. Don't bang on the piano. We want a musical boom. We don't want to bang. We want a boom. So there. Measure 4. Connect this as best you can. You can't because they're repeated notes, but do the best you can. Lift up. Lift up between, like taking a breath. I'm lifting up in the phrasing here, like taking a breath. Now on page 7, the hands are not lifting up at the same time. Keep in mind that curved line is used for phrases and it's used for slurs both, and sometimes it's hard to tell which it is. Here, I'm connecting the right hand all the way for the phrase. In the left hand, they have slurs marked, but you don't always have to lift up. Sometimes you do. You have to experiment. Do I like it? Do I not like it? Look on page 10. Here I'm connecting. That's fine. In the left hand they're lifting up. Do I lift up in the left hand? So I lift it up in the left hand. Of course I don't lift up in the right. Or should I connect it? That's interpretation. And that's kind of a personal thing. What do you think? When you first learn it, go ahead and lift up. Do what they're lift up between them. Good. Now here on measure 12, going into 13, I'm lifting up in the lift up. Lift up. Now lift, connect this. I'm not going to lift up for one note. In the right hand, I'm connecting it. I'm connecting it, the melody. That's, again, you're doing different things in the hands. We need to do that. That's good. I would recommend you do that in the left hand. Lift up. free, you could connect it all. Those aren't phrases in the left hand, those are slurs. At the bottom, the page, or line, it's measure 22. Go ahead and connect this left hand all the way to the end. It's not marked that way, but just pretend that slur goes all the way to the end. Connect it all. Now once I have the articulation, then I think about the dynamics. The dynamics apply to the melody. Well, at this beginning, this first line is introduction. And the way it's written, it's all melody, or there is no melody, but it's all the same. Both hands are the same, and F is forte, which means loud. You'll have to decide what loud is, because it depends on the situation. That accented note is going to be a very loud note, because that's here. Then the sforzando at the end is very loud, supposedly even louder than the accent note. And then measure 4 is forte. You see it in between? It applies to the melody, which is here. Everything else should be in the background. And then come down to mezzo forte and measure 6. It's like a statement reply. Statement, reply. Statement, and the statement's just a little louder than the reply in this piece. It's not always that way, but it is here. Now, measure 12. This is the glory part, Gloria, and this is loud, isn't it? The left hand's in the background. And I'll measure 15. Soft, loud. That's melody. Should sound like one hand play both of those. Both of those. And then the right hand. And basically it's loud to the end. Now, for the speed, I do the speed toward the end, huh? I could take up until this timing, play it as slow as I gotta play it. I don't care. But now I'm thinking about the speed. Joyously, well, that's not a speed, that's a mood. But a lot of times in music where they are supposed to tell you the speed, instead they'll just tell you the mood of the piece, and from that you have to decide on the speed. It's interpretation. So be joyous here. Don't be too joyous. If you were going to sing it, how fast would you sing it, you know? But it has to be accurate, so don't go faster than accurate. Now they've added pedal. And that would be nice. It'd be nice to have some overtones. It'd be nice to connect some of these repeated notes. We need pedal for that. You see, if you're going to use pedal, you use it for reasons. Don't just use it because the music told you to. Understand what's going on in the pedal. Well, in this first line, this introduction, we're just running it all together. It's like bells. It's just smearing it all together. So I'm going to, at the beginning, in this case, because it's loud and an accent, I'm going to push the pedal down with the note immediately. And it's going to stay down for the whole line. So forth, and then at the end of the line, when I got all this mess going, I'm going to lift the pedal up with the hand so there's a little silence to go on. It's like taking a breath. Now measure 4, I push the pedal down right after the notes. I'm going to change the pedal after the notes so it overlaps. Here. Between the phrases, if I want to hear the phrases, I'm going to lift the pedal up with the hands. Otherwise, I don't get the I don't get to the taking a breath. So again, starting at measure 4, lift up. See, I didn't pedal the reply. It's a nice contrast between them. Besides, I don't want to smear it. We don't want that. Now get over to measure 15 here. Here, I can connect the. However, I'd like to lose this note. I don't want this note when I'm doing that. I want the melody clean. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the melody on the half note here. Here. That way that half note's by itself. I get rid of all that other stuff. And then lift up before I go on. It's a phrase. And again, lift up. I'm doing that throughout. Please don't copy me. You get into the music and you make it yours. You'll see on page 6 and a little bit on page 7, there are multiple verses. And then the chorus starts on measure 12. That's the chorus. It's not marked as such, but it is. If you're going to do the other verses, you simply pretend there is a repeat sign at the end, at the bottom of page 7, and you repeat back to measure 4. Don't do the introduction again. You only do it once. Go back to measure 4 and you just do it again. You keep going through it for all the verses if you're going to. In this lesson, I'm not doing that. I'm just playing it one time.